Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
Just finished this today.
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Hello, I'm Sharon Roulier. Hope you had a pleasant Thanksgiving. Today we are sharing with you a best of edition of Reel to Reel, and today's program first aired on the weekend of July 6th, 2024. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to our first 2024 summer edition of the Best of Reel to Reel. I'm here with my dad, Jim Stefanik, for the second summer now, and he's going to help me out a little bit and keep us all entertained, right?
Well, my brother always called me the entertainer.
Oh, we're here at the Beehives, and we'll tell you all about what's buzzing as we bring you some of our favorite programs that aired during the past season. And today's episode first aired on the weekend of October 8th, 2023. So we're going to watch that right now, okay?
Okay, turn the set on.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Advocating for children and adults with disabilities is very much a part of the pro-life message. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
I'm Steve Kiltonic in Chicopee, where I'll have the story of Marie Prometer's latest book, Growing Up French.
And we'll take a nature walk with amateur photographer Deacon Pedro Rivera Moran as he captures pictures of God's creation. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome again to Reel to Reel. October is Respect Life Month and, fittingly enough, also Down Syndrome Awareness Month. It's no secret that many expectant mothers feel pressured to abort after receiving a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome. But as Carolee McGrath discovered in speaking with two families, these children are not only a blessing, but have taught them what it means to love.
11-year-old Jacob Elmer gets his little sister off the bus most afternoons. 6-year-old Jessica is the baby girl of the family and has everyone wrapped around her finger.
Look at this.
Look at that.
A
Wow.
lot. A lot.
Oh, your snack bag. Okay.
Back.
Yeah.
This.
That's it.
Jessica, who has Down syndrome, loves to draw.
Whoa.
Oh, who's that?
Lion.
Lion. What does a lion do?
Whoa.
Do it again. Do it again. What does a lion do?
Whoa.
That's right. She loves to write her letters, and she loves an audience. Say,
What
Steve.
is it?
See?
Apple tree?
Yeah.
Tina Elmer, Jessica's mom, says when doctors realized Jessica had markers for Down syndrome on the ultrasound, they were concerned.
When they had called and explained that there was some irregularities in the ultrasound, they were highly encouraging us to have further testing done and to make decisions quickly so that we could decide whether to terminate, which we were not interested in at all.
Tina says she and her husband Rick were scared about raising a child with special needs, but she wanted reassurance, some guidance, not pressure to get an abortion. Rick has 3 older children, making Jessica the baby of 6. The Elmers belong to St. Stanislaus Basilica Parish in Chicopee, but sometimes attend Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield, which is close to their home.
I think this is so important because of the pressure that we received when we first got the ultrasound report. Again, if we didn't have each other, if I was alone, if I was young, I just felt like it would have been so easy to just fall into the direction the doctors were pushing us.
October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month in addition to Respect Life Month. The Elmers say little Jessica has brought nothing but joy to everyone, a much different picture than was painted for them by medical professionals.
She's just like adorable, and wherever she goes, wherever she goes, she always spreads joy to the world, and she's always active. She's always at baseball games making new friends. When I play hockey, she's always up in the stands, and before I play my game, I always walk over to there and put my hand on the glass, and then she would do the same. So then I would always pat it, and she would always start laughing.
Jessica sometimes walks the golf course with her dad and older brother Josh.
We couldn't imagine life without her. You know, she's, keeps us busy, keeps us young, keeps us on our toes, so.
Advocating for children and adults with Down syndrome is a very important part of the pro-life ministry. But the reality is most women who receive a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome choose to abort. According to the Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, that number is 67% in the United States. In Iceland, nearly 100% of babies prenatally diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted, according to the European Down Syndrome Association.
The doctors seem to push us more towards terminating the pregnancy than saying what options we really had. I mean, when we left the office, they made it sound like that was the only option.
Matthew Butler's mom, Michelle, was also told to make a decision when it was discovered that he had Down syndrome. 18 years later, he's crushing it at basketball.
He's USP basketball. He plays golf with his dad's friend quite a lot over at Edgewood. Does some Special Olympics basketball, soccer.
Matthew is the youngest of 5 children. He also plays the drums and is in the Westfield High School band. He loves WWE and John Cena. Last year, Michelle lost her husband, Mike. He and Matt were inseparable. How are you at golf?
Good, and I play golf with my dad, friends, and brother.
Michelle says she hopes to help people see what the doctors clearly missed.
It's a human life. Regardless with a diagnosis or not, they're still just as important and loving and caring. That just to have the diagnosis of, prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome is not a death sentence. It's if I were to do it all over again, I would. My husband said to me, well, he's going to be the happiest kid alive. So, and it's true, he's a very happy kid. Brings a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives.
Both Matthew and Miss Jessica put a smile on people's faces without even trying. And they're certainly not defined by their diagnosis, but by God. Reporting for Reel to Reel in Westfield, I'm Carolee McGrath.
What a moving story. Thanks so much, Carolee. And this past week, we celebrated the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the environment and animals. In our next story, one of our diocesan deacons, Pedro Rivera Moran, director of Latino ministry, brings us closer to nature in the tradition of St. Francis as he captures God's creations through his camera lens. When Deacon Pedro Rivera Moran sees a beautiful sunset, a church steeple, a bridge of flowers, or water rushing from the banks of a river, he often captures those moments in pictures, each photo representing God's handiwork. And then Deacon Pedro, as part of his ministry, posts the pictures to his Facebook page. In midsummer, relating a walk in Westfield to scripture passages.
I'm impressed with God's creative work as every day, at different times, one walks through the same place and always sees new things. Such is the Word of God. Every time you read something, even if you read it before, God tells you something different.
It's both a hobby and a ministry for Deacon Pedro. In mid-August, we walked through Ashley Reservoir in Holyoke as he explained how he sees the world in terms of brushstrokes that God has made.
This is just fascinating. Way down over there, you can see the geese.
Yeah.
You can see the multiple levels of color. Like over there, it's kind of flat. Or over here, it's very shiny. And all those paint strokes that the Lord uses just to create this. There's such a diversity, like plants that grow in the water, trees, birds. This is just, then you can look at the sky, the beauty of those clouds. I'm always mesmerized that when I walk through this type of environment and just seem to enjoy it.
He's not a professional photographer, mostly using his cell phone or a small 35mm camera to capture images.
This is going to be a tough picture.
Seeing the beauty in everything.
You can see the sky reflected in the water, and so you kind of see that unity of heaven and earth, if you will, which I really enjoy that.
Even stopping to examine and reflect on the root of a tree.
You see the shape of the roots, it has no defined process, it just grows naturally. You get everything in it, rocks, dirt, sand, ground, the pine cone. It's just natural framing that the Lord has done for us.
It is important to stop and take root, says the deacon.
People always look at the flowers, the trees, and the foliage, but there's a lot more that we miss when we look at the beauty of just how things develop, and that's basically how God created it.
Just how every tree and root and leaf are different, so are each one of us, all part of God's great plan.
When I come to a place like this, I just love to take a picture of what God has done. And I like to share and let people know the marvels of God's creation.
All right, so Dad, as you just saw, we did that walk. I did a walk with Deacon Pedro around the Ashley Reservoir, and we got to see a lot of nature. And I know you like to talk about nature and its importance, right?
Yes. When I went to high school, the biology teacher always told us about
the environment.
Environment. That word, that long word, environment. Study what's going on around you. We need all these animals for the ecological system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially the bees. I mean, you've been doing beekeeping now for how long?
27 years, I think.
Yeah.
Give or take 2.
Uh-huh. And why are you so passionate about that?
Well, it's a good way to study nature, and I have a lot of friends at the Beekeeping Association. There are all kinds of lawyers and doctors. You might never think about why somebody would want to study about bees, but we need them. I need them for my garden, especially for the squash. Mm-hmm. These big flowers that come out, and you see the honey. It's not always a honeybee, but a bumblebee.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of bees, right?
Yes.
Well, let's put on our suits. We'll take a quick break. We'll put on our suits and we'll take everybody into the hive and show them what's in there, okay?
That'll be fine.
Okay. All right, so we have 2 colonies here, and they've been here since
April 22nd.
April 22nd. So we got new bees this year. They were not overwintered. They were new.
The name of them are Carnolian bees. They're from Russia.
Russia. Okay, so we're going to take the cover off. And you can see that they're already up in the top here. We have bees, and we have the bottom box is the queen, the main hive, and the queen is in there. And then we have 2 boxes on top of that where the honey is going into. So we're going to check it out, and we're going to see what's going on. First, we give them some smoke.
The smoke is to keep them from being too aggressive, and they go back into the hive.
Yeah.
Now these 2 straps here we have here, in case a small bear wants to come over here and knock over the boxes, which he did back in April.
Yeah, we had a couple bears come through already, so we have to just be cautious that they don't, and that's why we have the electric fence around it, so the bears come and they get a little zap. It doesn't kill them, but
well,
it just
zaps.
Well,
5,000 volts, and that's enough to keep them away.
Yeah. So we're going to take the cover off. And how many bees do we have in here now?
Well, it's a half a hive, so a full hive has 60,000 bees. I would assume there's about 30,000.
30,000 bees. And are they mostly all girls?
All of them, except there's a couple of drones in there, just to keep the queen happy.
Whew, smoky. All right, so we're going to check We're going to check the, I'm going to move this out of the way here. Let's take this box off and we'll check the blue box, okay? Can you move over a little bit? All right, so this one has started making some more honey. We already took off 60 pounds of honey a couple weeks ago, and now we'll see what.
Look at that. What you see here is they're building the comb out. The comb is an engineering marvel because each one of those little sockets there is exactly the same as the one next to it, and it's strong for its size. And this look like they're building it all out, and there's got to be honey on the other side.
Yep, there's honey on both sides.
Yeah, but they don't have it capped yet.
No.
When it's capped, then we'll take it to my house and we'll extract the honey.
I think this one looks even better right here.
Yeah, that's an older frame.
Yeah, wait till you see this. I can feel it's heavy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look, that's really full from one side. In a week or so, they'll probably have it all capped. And we need about 7 frames out of this box to extract the honey.
Yep. That one looks good. They're nice and quiet right now. They're not really making a fuss.
Those are that nature of the Carnolian king.
Oh, really?
Bees.
Yeah. All right, let's put this one on there, and I'm going to check down here, and we're going to just talk about how we make sure that we don't get any eggs in this honey, because the queen cannot come into these honey boxes.
This is the queen excluder.
Yep, this is a queen excluder. So we have this metal grate that we put on top of the box that the queen is in.
Well, she can't get through there
and she
because
can't
she's
get
kind
through.
of fat,
She's
which
fat.
I like.
That's right. And all of these bees here are just doing one thing to serve the queen, right?
They call them the
hive bees. So this is the queen excluder, so we can't let the queen up into these boxes. If we do, then she'll lay eggs in where the honey is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, put that over here.
Well, she's not on this, right?
I don't think so.
No, she wouldn't be. All right, I'm going to do it this way. Okay. So let's give them a little more smoke, and we'll see if we can find the queen. Now they start really going down in there.
Yeah, they don't like the smoke.
No. But it calms them down. So hopefully we won't get stung. Where do you think the queen is?
I would say one of these 3 frames there.
All right. So we have this hive tool that pries the waxy propolis and beeswax apart. Then we gently lift it up.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look all the capped brood.
Yeah.
This is all larvae in there.
Uh-huh.
Ready for more bees.
This looks so good.
This is probably why we're getting so much honey, is because we've got a very abundant amount of bees here. Look at the honey rolling down here.
Yeah, so they make their own honey down in this part of the hive, and they cap it, and that's what they use to eat.
And inside is where the queen.
All right, what about this stuff here?
What stuff?
All this extra comb on the bottom. Should I just take that off?
That's bridge comb.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some drone eggs.
Okay.
These eggs over here for the drones.
All right, I'm going to take this off. All right. Okay, so I don't know if we see the queen here or not.
I don't think so.
How many times have you been stung at once?
Oh, 20 times.
Yeah, me too. All on my legs.
And it takes a couple of days before you feel better.
Yep. Beekeeping is not a fast sport. Right? You got to take your time, because if you agitate them, then that's when you get stung. You got to be the bee whisperer.
Oh, there's a nice frame, but not as good as the first one we saw.
Yeah.
But it has a good pattern right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know we have a queen, because otherwise there wouldn't be any brood. There would not be any eggs, larvae, or...
There's a drone. Look how big that drone is.
Oh, wow, that's a big one, yeah. Okay, let's see on this side.
Oh, it's a little bit better on this side.
Woo!
Beautiful.
Look at them. They're all trying to sting me. And what happens when they...
They're not stinging. You've
on
got
my
honey.
thumb.
You've got honey on there. That's what they're trying to lick off.
Oh. But what happens when they sting you?
Well, it jumpstarts your immune system.
Yeah, but they die.
Yes, they leave the stinger and you have to take the stinger out.
Yeah, and that just impales them, so they lose their life.
Yeah.
For their sake of their hive.
We've got a lot of bees in there, so
yeah.
If we lose one or two, it doesn't make a difference.
All right, well, I don't think we're going to find the queen today. I think we should let them be.
Yes.
All right?
Let them be.
Let them be. All right, time to go watch the show.
Time to put the hive back together.
All right.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
And finally today, local author Marie Prue Meter has come out with a new book about growing up French here in Western Massachusetts. Steve Kiltonick sat down with the Chicopee native to talk about what inspired her to write about the French-Canadian experience in New England.
Marie Prue Meter has always been proud of her French heritage. She served as the director of the French Heritage Center for 5 years and was a contributor to the 2015 book, Building a Better Life, The French Canadians in Western Massachusetts. The author of Many Faces, One Mary, featuring area gardens and shrines to Our Lady, Prue Meter's lifelong passion for French history and culture inspired her to pen her latest book, Growing Up French, a collection of Franco-American interviews.
My main goal was, to preserve the past for future generations, because I felt like, we were losing our heritage. And so also I wanted to provide insight into what it was like growing up French.
Between 1840 and 1930, 1.5 million French Canadians emigrated to New England and neighboring states, many to work in the textile mills of Chicopee and Holyoke. Growing up in Chicopee, French traditions were passed on to Marie and her two siblings at an early age.
When my parents would get together with relatives, they spoke French. My father and mother were always singing French songs in the house. My father would read the French newspaper. My mother, she had a ton of French expressions, like she'd say, asseyez-vous, which means sit down. Or she'd say, bonne nuit every night, good night.
Marie's family were parishioners of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary Parish in Chicopee. Marie also attended Assumption School just across the street. Both were places where French-Canadian heritage was practiced and maintained.
After the Mass, people had Réveillon, which they would have a big meal after the midnight Mass. They would have meat pie suppers and with pea soup, and another tradition around the holidays or Christmas was making fudge. My father used to make delicious chocolate fudge.
The book cover features a 1931 Assumption Dramatic and Musical Circle group, which included members of her own family.
They traveled around doing French plays. From what I gathered, they were pretty elaborate. And, my mother's in here. She's very small. She looks like she's about 7 or 8 years old. And then my meme, her mother, was up here.
During its 5-year existence, many authentic French events and lectures were held in the Assumption Church Hall. Here, Marie met individuals with rich French heritages from across New England. Their stories served as the inspiration for the book.
I saw how passionate they were about their heritage. And I would talk to them and they'd tell me about, they were researching their genealogy. Other people told me fascinating personal experiences that they had had.
From 2013 to 2018, Prue Meter interviewed 23 Franco-Americans, some local and others from across New England, who told stories of courage, history, and culture. She recorded the interviews but didn't transcribe them until the pandemic in 2020, long after Chicopee's 3 French Catholic churches closed, including her beloved Assumption in 2009.
I tried to keep the stories as accurate as I could as to what the people told me. I added in lots of historical information.
In writing the book, Prue Meter learned a lot about many French-Canadian contributions and accomplishments. Those interviewed came from all walks of life, including the building trade, which the French became known for. Marie's father was a painter and carpenter.
And for me, they were very educational and inspiring. So, like, one woman's ancestor traveled with the French missionary, converting to Hurons in Quebec. Another woman was involved with a bill in Connecticut to establish French-Canadian Day. One woman traveled to St. Anne de Beaupré Church in Quebec for 25 years to help there with the handicapped people. And then another woman, her grandfather was a carpenter. He built 36 churches in Quebec. So that's pretty impressive too. So there was a mother and an aunt who made a living as seamstresses. Well, they were making wedding gowns with the Skinner silk. So the Skinner silk is from the Skinner Silk Mill in Holyoke.
When Marie cleaned her mother's wedding gown, an employee noticed a small tag on the back of the dress.
Well, my eyes like popped open. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, did you say Skinner? So here it was, and I never knew. The material from my mother's wedding dress was from the Holyoke Skinner Mills, and I just thought that was so amazing.
Marie also spoke with a trio of local World War II veterans, Hector Tony Page, Francis Lamoureux, and Wilfred Delude. They were among the 2,500 Franco-Americans from Chicopee who answered the call to serve. Marie's father was a vet.
All the men left for war. So, you know, it was a very difficult time for the families. It's important to remember them and, you know, what they did for us.
In addition, Marie's mother Edna, her sister Jean, and her brother-in-law Romeo were interviewed. Although Prue Meter was unable to ultimately find a permanent site for the French Heritage Center, she continues to support French culture across New England. Last year, with her sister, Marie helped establish an annual French Day in Chicopee surrounding St. John Baptiste Day. The Quebec flag was raised to acknowledge and support French contributions to the city. Prue Meter also wants to construct a monument dedicated to the French-Canadian immigrants who worked the mills and built the beautiful French churches. She wants its final resting place to be in Aldenville, which the French called Petite Canada.
Mr. Alden, who came and bought like 600 acres of land, built up the houses, and then he advertised, you know, in English and French for all the factory workers and, you know, all the mills, and said, oh, come live in Aldenville.
In addition to her mother's wedding dress, Marie has some other prized heirlooms.
It's a locket that my grandmother gave me, my meme, and then I have my mother's St. Anne medal from the St. Anne Sodality at Assumption. I think she was in that for 50 years. I also have my grandmother's it's a little button with her image on it.
Another cherished possession which inspired Marie's career as a piano instructor also came from her grandmother, a 100-year-old mandolin.
My meme played the mandolin, and so she gave this to me when I was in college, and I actually went after college and took lessons on it.
Marie's thankful for all the Franco-Americans she spoke to for their accomplishments, contributions,
and most especially for their indomitable joie de vivre spirit, which lives on in all of us who are proud to say, I am French-Canadian.
For Reel to Reel, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
Thanks for watching this best of edition of Reel to Reel, and for our viewers on WWLP TV 22, next weekend on December 7th, we will be returning to our regularly scheduled day and time of Saturday evening at 7. So I will see you then. Have a great week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.